Hello everyone, in this video we are going to be looking at how to find the lowest common multiple, or the LCM. So some keywords to take note of is multiple. A multiple is a number that can be divided by another number evenly. So if you think of counting up by 2s, 4s, 5s, those numbers you count up by are all multiples of 2, 4, and 5. The lowest common multiple, or the LCM, is the lowest possible number that can be divided by both or all of the numbers. So for example, if I want to find the lowest common multiple of 8 and 6, what it's asking for is if I was to count up by 8 and I was to count up by 6, what is the smallest number that would be in both of those lists? So I can count up by 8, I can count up by 6, and I see that the first number in both lists is 24. So that means that the lowest common multiple is 24. Let's try another one. If I want to find the lowest common multiple of 12 and 32, I'm going to count up by 12, I'm going to count up by 32, and I see that the first number that's in both lists is 96. So the lowest common multiple is 96. So I want you to try using the method of writing out the lists of each number and finding the number that's lowest. I want you to find the lowest common multiple of these. So pause the video and then start it up again when you're ready. Okay, so here I have 3 and 4. The lowest common multiple of those two numbers is going to be 12. For 5 and 16, the lowest common multiple is 80. And for 32 and 16, the lowest common multiple is 32. Now, if you have more than 2, or maybe those numbers are quite far apart, their lowest common multiple is going to be way far down those lists, there is a quicker way to solve this out. So you can always write out the list of both numbers and see what's in the first number in both lists. Or another method is to write each number as its prime factors, and then you multiply the common factors between the number. To write a number as its prime factors, you can use a prime factor tree. So for example, if I wanted to write 32 as its prime factors, I'm going to think of two numbers that when multiplied together get 32. So for example, I can choose 4 and 8. 4 times 8 is 32. I'm then going to look at each of those numbers and break them down by two numbers that multiply to get them. So 8 can be broken down into 4 times 2. And 4 can be broken down into 2 times 2. And you keep going down the branches until the final numbers are all prime numbers, until they can't be broken down any further except by themselves and 1. So here I can still break that 4 down into 2 times 2, but all the rest, the 2's there, they're all prime numbers. So the final prime numbers for 32 is 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2, which means that 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 equals 32. So we want the final ends of those branches to all be prime numbers. Once we have those, we can compare the prime factors of the different numbers and multiply the ones that are common. So let's look at an example. If I want to find the lowest common multiple of 12, 16, and 32, I'm first going to find the prime factors of these numbers. So for 12, I can break that down into 3 and 4, and then I can break 4 further into 2 and 2. And so the final branches, the final ends, are 3, 2, and 2. Now, maybe you chose 2 and 6, then your 6 would break down into 2 and 3. So it's okay if your tree looks a little different than what I had, as long as the final numbers are the same. For 16, I can do 4 and 4, and those can be broken down into 2 and 2. And for 32, again, I can do 8 and 4, The 4 can be broken down into 2 and 2, and the 8 can be broken down into 4 and 2, and then to 2 and 2, and I have my numbers. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these in a chart lining up the common factors. So what that means is the 12 is 2 and 2 and 3. The 16 is 4 2s, and the 32 is 5 2s. Now you'll notice I put the 3 over here because I've lined up the ones that are common. So there's no other 2s to put here, so I just left some space to get to the 3. So that means that I'm going to take the 5 2s from the 32, and then the 3 is going to down here. So these are all common, these are common, these are common, these are common, and there's one more here, and then the 3 drops down. Okay. And if I multiply these all together, I get 96. So my lowest common multiple of 12, 16, and 32 is 96. So again, we do the factor trees, then we write them so that they line up in columns, write what is common, and multiply that together to get our lowest common multiple. Let's try another example. So I have 12, 10, and 8. Again, I'm going to do the factor tree. So for 12, I can break it down into 3 and 4, and 2 and 2. For 10, I can break it down into 2 and 5, and that can't be broken down any further. 5 can't go anywhere else except 1 times 5. So I just leave it at 2 and 5. And then for 8, I can go to 2 and 4, and the 4 can go down to 2 and 2. Okay, so here's my factor trees for 12, 10, and 8. I'm then going to put them in a chart so that the common factors line up. So you'll notice they have 2s, these 2 have a 2, 8 has another 2, 12 has a 3, and 10 has a 5. So I line it up and I get 2, 2, 2, 3, 5. If I multiply those together, I get 120. So the lowest common multiple of 12, 10, and 8 is 120. Okay, I want you to try this one. Find the lowest common multiple of 14, 21, and 9. So I want you to pause the video, try it out, and then start up the video again when you're ready. Okay, so our first step is going to be to write those prime factor trees. So 14 can go down into 2 and 7. 21 goes down to 3 and 7. And 9 goes down to 3 and 3. These ones don't have secondary branches because their first one that breaks down are all prime numbers. So now I'm going to line them up in a chart. So 14 has a factor of 2, which the other ones don't have. 21 and 9 each have a factor of 3. 9 has another factor of 3. And then these two have a factor of 7. And so I have a 2, 3, 3, 7. And if I multiply those together, I get 126. So the lowest common multiple is 126. Okay, I want you to try these 3, pause the video, and start it up again when you're ready. Okay, so for question number 1, the lowest common multiple of 3, 4, and 5 is 60. 5, 7, and 10 is 70. And 8, 24, and 32 is 96. Okay, so I want you to think about those last ones that you did and kind of rate yourself as a sad face, a thoughtful face, or a happy face. So if you are a sad face, then you are getting help from your teacher. If you are a thoughtful face, then you're going to do some more practice. And if you're a happy face, I still suggest you do 1 or 2 just to lock it in your brain, and then you're good enough to go on to the next topic.